Like we've got a small crowd here today and no action items on the agenda.
No action items from Road and Bridge, but there's a few things we wanted to talk about. The first thing is I got a 90% plan set for Bear Creek Road at cost estimate, a preliminary cost estimate.
We better get John in here. I didn't realize he was gone when I said we'd get started. If you're gonna talk about Bear Creek, I want to make sure John's here to hear this. Okay, go ahead.
So we got a 90% set of plans for the Bear Creek Road repair and a cost estimate, a preliminary cost estimate of $641,077. What is?
No, it's not.
Well, again, this isn't a complete set and it hasn't been bid. And there was a number of concerns or questions I had that I sent back to them that they've got to kind of address and get through. But at least it gives us a ballpark figure to go for. And I think within a month, we can probably get to a place where we can have a biddable set. I just don't know what the commissioners want
So what do
to
you
do.
think a realistic number on the outside is gonna be now, what inside it? See, that's,
With a bidding process, I don't know. But I think,
not asking for you to testify to it, I'm asking for your gut feeling.
from
Yours is
$750,000,
a million, that's,
Well, if you
and that's,
if you approach the delegation with $1 million, up to $1 million,
yeah,
that's an easy appropriation for them to find some money.
and that's what
someplace.
I think it's somewhere between 750,000 and $1 million.
talk with Tracy
When the delegations on.
and then I want to talk to Tracy before I kind of jump over her head to the delegation. But
Well, it's not jumping overhead, she pretty much said they're out. It's our own.
except for their buy-in because it's their campground, so I'm having their
Sure.
support for the delegation.
That doesn't mean they're gonna pay for it.
No,
It's just that they're,
Who's the delegation? What are you talking about?
probably Simpson on this, and he's the one that got money for us.
You go to his office.
Yeah.
That's, I can't remember her name.
yeah,
That's doing
I
that.
got her card and she came up and drove up and looked at the road with me.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, so did Rich's.
Is it Rich?
Well, it's both of them, both of their like,
Same thing.
back out and see, probably see one of them tonight. One of them's
Yeah.
part of that.
So part of the fix involves a welded wire, basically a hoof hooker wall system. And it's close to 20 feet tall to get through there. It includes,
So did they go down to where they have
they go down,
solid dirt underneath? Is
Yeah.
what they're kind of like they did along the reservoir.
yeah, and then build it back up. But like I say, it's over 20 feet, it's over 20 feet deep.
Yeah.
But this fix also includes putting in some curb and gutter on that downhill side to catch the stormwater from going over the side.
Oh,
And it includes guardrail.
is that like asphalt curb like they put around
No, it's
26,
actually
which
a
is
concrete
worthless?
curb and gutter.
Oh, that's good.
And it improves some drainage system and puts in an 18-inch pipe on the uphill side, that sidewall, and it captures some of the water and tries to get it through.
Do you have
So
digital copy of this?
yeah, I have a digital copy of
You
it.
can email it to me.
Yeah, I can do that.
But you might wanna tell them, you know, cause they'll probably be ready to go out to bid in the next couple of months to get it done this year.
Yeah, that's why she's called me 3 times and asked me,
Okay.
you have a number yet?
Yeah.
So it's on, at least on her plate.
So they could get that done by fall.
Yeah,
I think so. Looking at what this is, I believe we could go out to bid hopefully within a month or so, 2 months, get it out to bid and bid for 3 or 4 weeks. And with what's here, they should be able to do it this summer.
Money comes through
Right.
fast. On a small one like that, they might give something out of something. So they would make a special request for it. Especially what the positions there.
This is not the final set, it's a 90% set, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's at least gives an idea of what's gonna happen, so.
expensive than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. probably would be-
It's less expensive than I thought it was gonna be too, and that's why I looked at the plans, and there's some things that are calling out for in the plans that they don't have as bid items. And so that's why I'm thinking it's gonna have to go up, so.
We've got room up here, Wade, if you want to join us.
Really no. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
The next is, I've got a scope of work back from Horrocks Engineering for 49th North. We do have a meeting with them to go over their price estimate, because right now it is $1.1 million. And so tomorrow I'll be talking with them. Hopefully we can bring that cost down quite a bit and reduce. I talked with them.
That's to be divided by, a lot of that's provided by the developer, right?
Well, I don't know how, right now, if there's a contract, it would be with us and we would have to split the cost, but still it's over $1 million. And I think I can bring the cost down by talking with them and saying, no, we want this cross section and we want this cross section and depths and stuff.
Because if you can get them to identify the ones that we're gonna end up responsible for, then leave it up to our boy wonder over here to make the developers.
Yes,
The rest.
pay for the rest of it.
See, because that makes that a really affordable from the county's standpoint.
So, but they'll come in tomorrow morning and I'll talk to them about getting that price down.
Is that the full length?
That would be the full mile.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Shocked.
That's just design though.
that's just design.
Oh, design.
That's just design.
Uh,
Engineering cost.
Yeah.
We don't want design, what developers are gonna have to do unless, we get them to agree to reimburse us.
Well, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you, is like, the design is gonna have to encompass the full mile. But how we divide the cost out with whoever, that's gonna have to be figured out, so.
So can't we, do the design, show them the right of way so they can get Rocky Mountain Power to move theirs?
Well-
And then work out the details later for the construction design.
You'd have to split the scope into two different sections, but yeah, you could split it into two different sections and do just the right of way portion of it. But we still need some preliminary designs in order to get what the right of way needs to be.
Thoughts, boy wonder?
How do they come up with that number? Is it a per foot calculation
A manpower estimation and number of manpower
to do the
to
design?
do the design, yeah. It's not per lineal foot, it's based on who does what on which things, and there's over 6,000 man hours in this estimate.
Cause you've got a couple of those developers that might agree to pick up the cost so they don't have to do it.
Yeah, I just don't know how you separate that. You'd have to pull out the sections that they were responsible for and basically ask them to give a man hour calculation for just those.
Either that or you take what this estimate, what the final estimate is, and you take it to a per lineal foot
cost.
cost.
Yeah, that's the other thought that I had. I just didn't know how they broke that down.
That's not how they come up with their cost, but it's how we could possibly split it up between the different lineal footage.
Will you just ask them when they come in if they could give an idea on the per man hour for those sections that the developers are responsible for?
Well,
Or are they gonna charge us to do that?
right now, they're not gonna charge us to do it, but you're looking at. There's different needs for different sections, and some of it needs a bridge section, and some of it doesn't, and some of it needs stormwater, and some of it doesn't, so. How do you break out man hours for each one without doing a full design?
I think, for the difference in dollars, that it would be to just pick up a per foot, blend it all in because,
Yeah,
it's to the county's advantage. Have them pay for part of that.
it would be, so again, I'm meeting with them tomorrow to try to get this cost estimate down from what it is.
Is the bridge that's something we're responsible for anyway. Isn't it?
It's that, it's a gray area because where the school is, they excluded it from their plat, but it was included in the original parcel buyout of Rockwell and stuff like that. So I think the developer ought to be on the hook for at least a quarter of the bridge.
So if we're doing a per lineal foot, would we count each side of the road?
Yeah, you would,
So you'd be
I mean,
10.5 divisible by 10.560 and then figure out what their frontage cost is. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put some stuff together. I just wanted to.
And then could we call security?
Well, he's already here, that means they passed him.
Donahoo, we know how busy you are. Come on up. Let's get to you next.
They already served me at the door, so they didn't even know my DNA.
I told them to come in the back door.
Oh, really? Check your cell phone there, mister.
I've been watching it. Nice.
5 minutes ago. I haven't checked, you guys got us.
Yeah.
Should have texted all three of you, then I know for sure it would have.
Somebody would have picked it up.
Yes.
So go ahead, we're ready for you.
Okay, so I have a month ago or so, we talked about the purchase and sell for IBSD. Been working with Lance, kind of gave him a preliminary of what it was.
did you see my comments back to you?
Yeah, yep. I sent that to them to Forest Grin. They have come up with a legal description for us on it. Obviously, because this is a platted subdivision, we'll have to do an amendment to that plat with it, but I actually, at least now I have a legal description for that. Legal document.
So, and in the agreement, IBS, we agree to pay for the replanting.
Yeah, so they'll take care of everything with it. Required to be responsible for the cost of the county required sidewalk, curb gutter and curb cuts. Anyway, so
He didn't get this till late last night, that's why we don't have it on the agenda, so we can,
8:26 PM to be exact.
we can get it on the, unless it was today, we'll see.
Yeah,
Can we do it Friday or either Friday or Monday morning?
Monday, that'd be quick enough.
Yeah, that's fine. And
Next Monday?
Yeah,
it's up to,
you put it on, Kayla, for next.
they're ready, they're offering the 65 and it's cash and they'll close it just as quick as whatever you tell us. I put 45 days out, so I put the 16th of May. They can do whenever, whatever you guys decide on.
That's all how soon we're gonna get going.
So, yeah, so whatever you want as far as that. Can I submit this now and then you guys can just,
So I think the bigger question I had about this whole process is the pipelines and stuff in the roadway and how those pipelines are gonna, right now, I don't have any engineering drawings for what they're gonna do, and it looks like to me that pretty much the whole road is gonna have to be redone.
so everything that they said, so when I asked them about that, everything will
Cordell?
just be hooked
Is it
in.
Cordell, right?
Um,
I think the road in
what
front
is
of
the
it.
road?
Bonneville.
Yeah, I'd have to, everything will, they won't, as we talked about having, would they need a line up there to First Street too? Everything will be hooked in and be able to take place in the road itself. And so,
Well, that's what my concern is, how buying the property is one thing, and I don't have too much concern with that, but how it affects that roadway and how it ties back in.
Well, they just need to understand this.
Yeah,
Treat them on any other public road.
yeah. So we're gonna need some engineering drawings and stuff with that, so.
and he had said, so they have some of those of where those connections are coming in and stuff. And so he knew, because I asked him specifically, hey, are we gonna need an easement that goes to First Street at all to be able to dump that in at some future point or anything? They said, no, everything is the way they have it planned, that everything will connect in that road.
And Cordell, I
Yeah.
think,
I can't, yeah, whichever.
I believe it's Cordell and that's, I mean, it showed like 4 pipelines into this property along Cordell. And where Cordell goes through is, it looks like it's gonna be a total rebuild of the road, so.
Gotcha. Just give them a heads up.
We'll get that to Kayla.
You're welcome to stay and enjoy the rest of it.
Okay. Do you need me back here on Monday? Okay.
We just needed the explanation and.
Okay.
You'll look at the legals. Make sure.
I'll have David look at the. If Kayla, if you can scan that in and give it to me a copy, please.
It's also interested in that lot next to it.
I've got a couple of pictures here that show, how much snow was on Eagle Pass, and there wasn't a whole lot of snow on Eagle Pass.
She hit the water. That's how.
That was taken Monday.
Was on top of him.
So once you drop over the top, there's a picture there, you can see kind of right at the top of the grade with a lot of, there's some drifting right on top, but
Yeah.
other than that, Eagle Pass did not have
That's how.
very much snow on it, and there's no snow on the fences, and most of the runoff's gonna happen from his field down through. So
Contract with him
anyway,
because I'm like.
Is that, oh, excuse me, go ahead.
I was just.
Okay, thank you. I figured
Any idea? From
what I'm gonna do.
Right, I'll
sign
sign
there.
there.
up that far, I'm not sure. They're happening pretty fast. They've already gone through it with the road graders and gone past.
Can I call you back?
Okay. 7,000.
But as far as actual when it's gonna dry out, if it snows this weekend or rains this weekend.
And that's what I told Blair, and he's real decent about it. He says, oh, got all the news surveys and stuff. We can just take our side by side.
Yeah.
He said, was I supposed to come get a new key? I said, yeah.
Gun, that's the side.
So the road's not open and we don't know when it'll be open. It pass.
No.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot of snow on it. It's just, we've got the gates right there because up higher, it isn't open and there's a lot more snow on it, so.
So you guys did the right thing, excuse me, Roger, getting this off so that it'll be drying out.
Yeah.
And send him this picture.
Yeah.
I was thinking either Monday, I think, Monday or Tuesday.
So nice guy.
Well, it's supposed to be in the seventies today and.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna rain. It was up in the sixties right after we tried it.
So it'll drop pretty fast and it'll dry out pretty fast now that there's nothing on the road surface. They are continuing to open roads. They're up in Trail Creek area and there's a lot more snow up there. They're got a road grader stuck pretty hard yesterday and they're still working on getting it out. So,
Thanks, Roger.
yeah, there's a lot more snow up above Trail Creek, so.
So after some rough math, if the total cost of the project engineering is what Lance said it would be, and we take Mike Hicks' project, Badger Creek, Beaches Corner and the school and split up the design between all of them, their portion of share would be $332,304 for their costs that they would pay to that. If that number goes down, then that number would probably change also, because that's just doing it per lineal foot.
Can you assign much of that to Beaches Corner because they were already in process before the requirement? came
They're
along?
doing that amended plat,
Well, they are doing an
so they
amendment
have to
plat.
do to the 5-lane section, so I think they
Yeah.
would share in the design costs for the 5-lane
How would
section.
that change it if they come into?
He included that.
It would be 80,000 less, their portion's 80,149. But if that, I mean, I don't know, some of these I know are gonna start working on design. So it might be something that if that's how we wanna proceed, we might wanna have a meeting with them to discuss sharing the design cost and put together an MOU or something with them.
It's gonna cost them that much anyway.
I think it would probably cost them more
Yeah.
to do the little section
To
than
do
it
the little
would sharing in the full section, so maybe next road and bridge. I don't know if we wanna have a discussion about sharing in design cost or?
I think it'd be better at the staff level.
Just let them do it, yeah, you guys, yeah.
So, yeah, tell them to get a hold of me and we'll schedule a meeting, but
I'll reach
I
out
need
to all
to
of
meet
them.
with Four tomorrow first, so.
I'll just reach out to them and tell them to contact you regarding the design of
What if they
49.
have concern or questions, then invite them.
Okay.
First Street, that Hammond project with them, right away is moving really, really slow. It is. The right of way negotiator is struggling with a lot of the people and it's just not happening very fast, so.
And then, on Ammon's side, weren't there reasons that we were gonna have to move off till next year anyway?
It might have to be put off till next year. I'd like to get the right of way kind of figured out and still going. And it's moving so slow that
How many?
we've only got one out of 13 that is kind of pretty well set.
And you can't negotiate to,
He can't get a hold of some of them. Some of them are out of the country or some of them are back from being out of the country and it's just, man, it's going slow.
your best effort.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Okay. You got my email about Fuel Island, you got my email about the construction costs of the
What?
landfill or the transfer station.
The fuel cost, I mean, what's the hangup? Because, you know, I know we had the issue when they weren't sending invoices over, putting in the box. Pam said she took care of it. So now we've got an issue with what?
There was one from 2022 and it's not, so the statement came across and Greer tried to reconcile all the payments versus all the invoices. And she went back into 2022. She found one in 2022 that hadn't been paid. She found one in 2023 that hadn't been paid. And then she found three that the city of Idaho Falls had said hadn't been paid that actually had been paid. And so there's I'm going back, but as far as I'm aware, we are now, because we paid those outstanding bills, we should be fully caught up with what they say was owed.
Okay, and they did, I'm gonna say threatened, but offered to cut us off.
That was my understanding, yes. I didn't have direct communication of that, but evidently the solid waste department did, so.
So explain where that came from,
Yeah, can you get? a
your
copy of
understanding.
that?
So part of the information that I sent on was some of the stuff that I got from Greer. So Greer has had some correspondence with the city of Idaho Falls and with Kaylin upstairs about the billings that she's got, so.
Okay, well. You gotta be careful to make too much out of it if it's. I'd like to know a little more about, how the will cut you off
How that came.
thing came about. I think it's pretty hard to assign a lot of worth to that unless
Yeah.
we know.
Well, and that was included in one of the emails that I sent supposedly, was one of the things that came from, I think it was Cindy at the city of Idaho Falls, had said that in one of her emails. So I checked back through the email chain.
Yeah, we, in fact, need to send an email over to invite Pam over here next week. Because they're trying to say they notified us on the share of the emails he's sent.
Those
That's
emails-
anything about cost, it just talked about the fix, we need to get it and kind of understand that better. So she can come over and explain.
From what I saw, what I was communicated with, there was no dollar amount really ever communicated as far as what's gonna happen. I was involved when it come with one email and said, hey, they're down. What's the deal? Why are they down? So,
Be fair to give her a chance to come and explain that.
yeah. But I don't think the emails kind of outlined. There was a request for a certain dollar amount ever. It just didn't look like it, so.
Do you have, or have we already asked you this? Memory's not great, but how much fuel we purchase direct at the landfill, you know, how much is delivered up there?
So I
Do you
haven't
have
been
that number?
asked, I can probably get that number.
And we purchase it, Hatch, right?
Yeah, and.
And we purchase at Hatch, we purchase it up at the landfill, and so. Yeah, I can probably get that information together, but I don't have it right now.
It'd be helpful to have that as we're making these decisions to know our total fuel need. I mean, we may be able to save some money there if we're, you know, getting big loads. Even if we have to haul it up there, you know. Have a fuel truck or something.
I usually price it on it as a high volume, I don't know.
Well, we
Yeah.
So it's between Berry Oil and Leonard Petroleum, both of them at times have filled the tanks up there,
Yeah,
so.
okay, well, that number would be interesting. Helpful, I
Do
think.
you want it like for a year?
Yeah,
Because we've got it on spreadsheets, fuel island.
Well, that's from the city of Idaho Falls, but that's not what he's talking about.
I'm trying to come up with a total number,
But
Yeah.
that's a
A, total
he's
fuel.
talking about plus B. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out
yeah,
what
so
C
we
is.
can add it all together.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll see if I can put that together, and Blair may have that figured out already, so I'll
Okay.
get with him.
And you're closed over there as of yesterday.
As of today, I believe, it was supposed to be April 3rd.
So where am I gonna put all my grass?
On your lawn,
Well,
on your neighbor's
I
lawn.
understand if you dump it along the county roads, it keeps the erosion down and the weeds.
Yeah, there you go. Is that okay?
there you go.
He was actually speechless there for a minute.
You don't want me to answer that, so.
Just mulch it.
Put it down on Yellowstone Highway.
Some good spots up on Bone Road.
You can't drive that far yet.
Erosion control. I do it on my way to the dry farm. There's a piece there that they're concerned about the erosion.
Our Eagle Path is closed so far, so.
What's next?
I think that's what I had to discuss, so I don't know that there's.
What have you got, Wade? that you
Sure.
need to talk about?
I have a couple of things for you commissioners and for staff. First off is, I don't know if you saw some releases and things about City Works rolling out from the Community Development Department. We had talked in the past with sharing a lot of our permit information with you guys. City Works will allow us to do that now. I just talked to my assistant director about that and how to go about doing that, and Austin and I may have to talk on how we'll grant you access and then you can get in and look at all of our stuff. So it is on our radar. We can't quite do it yet, but we know it can be done. So
What was it you looked up, out package?
That was in Trackit, that was the old one.
yeah, that's the old system. Yeah, and the old system was clunky and things didn't work in it. So so just so you're aware, we're working through that.
So you're getting rid of Trackit or?
Yeah, E-Trackit is gonna be the way of the dodo, yeah. It just didn't really work for us, and a lot of the municipalities around use City Works, so we just felt it was better just to make a change.
Yeah.
The other one, I brought this up with Austin, we got for the tire storage at the transfer station, we've gone through and reviewed that with fire, and that was approved. We got and I don't know why it came to us, but it came from DEQ about the need for a conditional use permit for the tire storage. I don't know if what to do with that, if we need to take you through a conditional use permit, we can do
That's
that.
what we were trying to get approved.
We approved this site plan and the permit for it, but they had come back to us saying they needed a conditional use. So, I
I don't
talked
know
to,
why they need a condition.
I don't know either. So it's coming from DEQ. I don't know,
They probably don't know.
yeah,
Would you typically need one for that type of?
I don't know the answer to that either. I don't know what DEQ's requirements on them. I thought they just needed a local permit or local, you know,
Authorization to do
authorization or
this.
sign off, but
That's what they told us there.
I don't,
Meetings is they needed.
I don't think DEQ can necessarily control what type
I don't
of
think so.
process is done to give approval for the site location.
It's
They
like we
just
got
need to make
approval
sure
for
there's approved
Tire storage.
by the local jurisdiction. If you can forward me that email, I can reach out to them and say,
Yeah.
what are you trying to get at here?
yeah,
Well, what I think they're trying to do is make it harder for us to actually store tires, which our intent, I mean, we got rid of almost all the tires and our intent is not to have tires there, but we went through the process to make sure they had
yeah.
DEQ know that we can do that.
And on the city side, if you need us to, I mean, if they want you to do a CUP, we can get you on the schedule and get you moving through. It's very easy, but
Would it be required by the city in that zone?
from what we knew, all we needed was local authorization, which was already.
And maybe it's as simple as writing back to DEQ and say, in this zone, all we needed to do was this.
Yeah,
So
We don't
yeah.
need a conditional use.
Yeah, so anyways, just, I
Yeah,
brought it up
and
with
if you
you.
wanna forward me the email too, I'll look at it and I can reach out if I need to, so.
Yeah, and then the other thing, Austin had kind of asked about the fuel station, so just to report back to you on this, Austin. Out at the transfer station, a permit does need to be pulled for it, but we don't require a fee or any inspection. The only reason that a permit is pulled is mostly because of power, so often that just needs to be coordinated with them. So if you're hooking up Idaho Falls Power somewhere, they just want to see where that connection.
Because there, you know, we understand on there, that there's already storage on that, this is the transfer station.
Yeah.
And they've already got some, so.
But on our side, like, we've kind of.
Just for power.
Yeah, just for power, but on the inspection side, I guess there's been a gentleman's agreement in the past that you guys just take care of it. We don't charge you fees, but.
If it's a gentleman's agreement or a, legal opinion by your counsel.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just what the building official told me,
Yeah.
so.
I can't remember if that's statutory.
And that makes sense. If we've had to get a permit through power, we've done that, but then we generally just create a local permit
Yeah.
for us too, to do the inspections.
What
and
about
check.
water? Because, you know.
Water may be required as well.
Yeah, and we already paid the fee, at one time for the
Yeah.
valve out there.
It's mostly just seeing where those connections are taking place. It's never a charge to you or anything like that. Yeah, so. Yeah, so the DQ one, I was kind of perplexed about, and then the fuel station, just to get back to you. And then the area of impact, we have a meeting with our attorneys, at Weston and Mike Kirkham next week. Public Works has started to draft their agreement. It basically is patterned after what you have done with the Ammon. He's comfortable with that.
Well,
But
you're aware that the law has changed.
yes, and that's why the attorneys want to talk with the state
Because
legislature.
we're probably gonna have to go back in and modify, the others.
But with ours, maybe with the new legislation, we just tweak it. That's what Mike was wanting to talk with Weston about. And then, sounds like we're getting close to that and then be able to take it through public process, so.
What public process are you talking about taking it through?
Just through, as it goes through like planning, I say public process, but just like planning commission, those different things,
In the city?
and city council.
Yeah, because, the new law doesn't require that.
Yeah, and that's where we'll have to look at it.
Yeah, take a look at that and visit with Austin. At the law required.
Yeah, the new law basically gives county more power on it.
And doesn't require any public hearing on the
Yeah.
city side.
Yeah, so anyways, we'll look at it, but that's where that's at, so. And that was all that I had for today, unless there's anything I can help with.
Okay, thank you, Austin.
I didn't really have anything urgent. I did see that the new annexation legislation passed yesterday. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw that. I read through that. There's some interesting stuff in there about fairgrounds.
Yeah.
You might be interested in if you haven't seen that.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
They put some stuff specifically addressing those type of uses in the annexation policy and what the annexation requirements are for county fairgrounds and things like that, so. I don't know how I don't know how the city feels about it, I'll send it to you,
Okay.
but
Yeah, we don't have to strong.
I thought it was
At least I.
really pretty well written legislation overall, I mean, updating some of the annexation policies. The only other thing that I had brought up, and I don't even know if we need to talk about it in Road and Bridge, was just the parking stuff that I brought up, sent you an email about yesterday, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, so are your thoughts signs or what?
We had a lot of those cleared out of there.
Well, yeah, all the cars, all that are not.
All the
yeah,
ones that
the
aren't being used,
Almost daily.
the ones there are mostly being used. aren't they?
Used daily. I don't know,
I wouldn't say daily, I'd say weekly,
yeah,
wouldn't you? Not even weekly.
my,
Oh, really?
my thought process just was.
Blazers.
And what I've seen, so when they have trainings at the sheriff's building over there. They bring in all these sheriff's people and the sheriff's people park all along that sidewall of the building. So they park diagonally this way.
I thought we put no parking.
We did, but, well, it's on a post and then they just move it over there
When
and
you
park
run
there
the building.
anyways. And when we've talked to them about it, their reasoning is, well. We can't be parked far away because we're in this training, but if we need to be able to respond, we need to be able to get to our cars quickly.
The other option is they can get permits to overflow out here.
So we could do that too. That was primarily my biggest concern is just, well, if these. Other pool cars and assessors cars aren't being used weekly, do we clear some of that out and allow some of that for their overflow parking when they have these trainings? So that they're not parked along that wall there, because then what you get is when people are coming in and out and you try to turn in from that side of the building, you can't even turn in because there's a car there and then the car waiting to turn right or to turn left.
Well, it sounds like we could move a few more out that aren't used weekly.
So, and it has helped. I mean, the last few trainings they've had, they have
Where do all
overflow.
your employees park? They park right there.
We park in the employee parking for the most part. We have one spot there. But then, just that whole line of pool cars is there and they really don't move. And my other thought on that is in the winter, if that's cleared out, so it's just overflow parking and most of the pool cars that are used weekly are in the other parking lot, it'll make it a lot easier to clean out that area. I don't have.
Just as the parking mill goes, I've been asked why. Your guys get to park right next to the office and all the folks in this building have to park out there wherever they find parking. And that's not fair. That's the parking.
Yeah.
Which I avoid listening to most of the time.
Yeah, and most of the reason, I mean, that people are parked there in my office is because they all get here at 7. So they're here before anybody else is. But. I don't have a strong opinion one way or
We'll look
another.
into how many cars.
We just need to tear down public defender's office, turn that all into parking.
Yeah.
We have
And-
things to with employees parking where the pool cars are supposed to be, which I don't think they're supposed to.
Now, that's the problem. If you open up spots. they'll
Yeah,
get
then
filled.
that's where people park, and so
Yeah.
that's why my question was, well, do you mark that somehow, or what do we do with that? But
It's already marked.
Send out another
With the color
reminder to
paint,
employees that.
Or only
well,
county marked.
the lines are
cars.
all faded,
Yeah,
I don't
so
think
that's,
anyone knows the county, the line color.
that means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I wouldn't know.
So, I think those are your two options, it's just what do we do, and do we put signage there, do we not put signage there? And I'm really fine.
Find some more
with whatever.
space from the city.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll kind of look at. how
Yeah,
many
just-
are there
yeah.
and see how many we can.
and the biggest concern, like I say, overall, I think is really the sheriff's parking that we run into.
3-story parking.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we'll take that out of your budget.
Yeah, we'll look at how many could be moved out of there, kind of look at that.
But I do think even if there's a way to do signs over there, it would be extremely helpful.
Yeah,
Or make it more clear, even if there's one in the middle that says, you know, county vehicle parking or,
Just get you mean against the building?
no, I'm saying out in the open area.
When employees park there and they get notified that all of them say will not need to post it.
yeah, that's our concern is you open it up, take pool cars out, it'll just fill up with employees, you know.
That we'll get tickets.
They could.
We get the signs up.
Yeah,
And that's why I think it would be good to have a sign that just says, hey.
yeah,
And the part of the other problem we've run into with that is if the sheriffs are having a training and then my inspectors are gone and come back, then there is sometimes no parking along that back building for them to even park the county vehicles, so.
Maybe need some signs that say,
inspectors only.
And we could put signs against the spots that are against our building that say county vehicle parking only. It's just that once you get past that,
specific to the vehicle that's supposed to be there, like we have on. Assessor's
Gotta take
building
care
that
of
says this.
yeah, that would solve our problem. If we just got some signs that said Bonneville County Planning and Zoning vehicle parking.
That seems like the way to go.
See, because there are options.
Then we'll spread the rumors, somebody parked there and shouldn't have them, we told them.
There's options for the assessor.
Just the rumor.
That parking lot, so which will happen right away on law enforcement.
Yeah.
That some of their vehicles could go over there, right?
It's pretty empty now, I've noticed. Most of Idaho Falls police have moved
They
out.
still got their stuff out there.
There's desks and stuff. There's
And maybe
cars
that's part of the
and stuff.
solution, but
Yeah, that might.
I do think even with doing that, if there's another sign that we could put up that could reserve 3 or 4 spots for the sheriff training building would be a good thing,
Yeah. Okay,
so.
Except they don't have stuff every day, it's a waste of parking space.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have anything for a week.
That's why I wonder if they can't just be told to get permits, because we did that before.
Yeah,
And
that would seem more
to work with.
more logical approach, since aren't they the ones that issue the permits?
Yeah, they could give them temporary permits over
It
there.
shouldn't be too complicated.
Okay. Well, I'll just do that for my purposes. I'll just take the 4 on the end and sign them for planning and zoning. And
Kayla, do
for
they-
vehicles, so.
Sheriff's office issue those temporary permits, or do you?
Me. That's easy. They tell me when they are. I can have them ready.
I had one question, the ag protection zone, so that passed, right?
Did it pass?
Yeah.
I haven't
believe
seen
so,
that.
Didn't it?
I don't know, they were. gonna-
They sent it for revision out of the hearing that you and
Oh,
I.
that's right.
do, But I haven't seen that it passed yet.
They were gonna revise it, so, you could still use eminent domain along the existing roads.
Yeah. So I haven't seen that come through, but if that does, that's something we need to work on.
Yeah,
too,
we
get
need to
taken
get
care
in
of.
as quickly
Yeah.
as possible. Okay. All right, I'll find out.
So that'd be a question on the, as you put an area of impact given together, it's how you treat those now. If that's
Yeah.
done,
Yeah, okay. Bill 608.
Oh, this bill. I came up with a different one. House Bill 473.
Oh, those.
24.
Didn't work.
No, it's 693, you're right. Unless they changed it.
We've got 3.
There's one in 2023, but there was one in 2024 that popped up.
I don't have it on my watch list. All right, well, I'll look into it, see what I can find.
So I'll send you this
What'd you say? Just to look at it on their overall bill tracker, you click down on the number, click on it, and see.
On the annexation bill, it says fairgrounds property that is used as fairgrounds pursuant to the provisions of chapter 8, title 31 Idaho Code, or chapter 2, title 22 Idaho Code shall not be annexed unless the annexation is approved by a majority of the Board of County Commissioners of the county in which the property lies. So they just define that more clearly than what it used to be, but,
Yeah,
and there's some other things that they address.
So that fall in category, because under the new law, we're gonna be looking at what's not annexable. You know,
Where that came out of. Interesting.
Where that,
Yeah, was it like out of Jordan Falls?
I don't know, yeah.
It's an issue in Twin.
I don't
Is there
know.
fairground in the city now? Boise's is.
I got a motion.
Boise's is into,
Maybe that's where. it
almost
came
into
out of.
Eagle.
yeah, because they've been in controversy with the city of Boise annexed, whatever that was called.
Usually comes out of some issue somewhere
Yeah.
else.
yeah. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding it, but I'll find it.
Yeah, I looked yesterday afternoon, cause I was looking at this other stuff and I didn't see that it passed yet, but
Okay, right, they're getting out of there in the next couple of days, I think. Aren't they?
Well, they'd like
I'm gonna
to.
start betting.
You gave me my turnip truck, look.
According to Seth, you know, it depends on the stubbornness of two or three legislators, what they're trying to hold the others hostage for.
Okay, I can't find it, I'll have to find it, but yeah. All right, if there's nothing else, I guess that's it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Wade, for being here.
Yeah.
It's really valuable to have your
Yeah.
input here.